Hi everybody, I just got back from the gym, and when I was there, I saw this article, and it really caught my attention. I end up doing my best reading at the gym, after all. Basically, Square Enix had an interview with IGN, and they responded to the sales concern, and they ended up saying that, they only sold 3 million in the first week, and then the sales did drop off, but at the end of the day, this is expected, this is normal, this is a good thing. So we have some positive news in this article, but there's something at the end of this article that's like extraordinarily concerning to me. So I just kind of want to go through it with y'all and really kind of deep dive into this. It says here that Square Enix insisted that sales of Final Fantasy XVI are extremely strong, telling IGN the game has sold well relative to the PlayStation 5 install base. We saw in the new RPG news a couple of weeks ago that it sold 3 million copies during launch week, and they basically said that is on target. And we all know how Square Enix is with their really inflated targets. They have these out there astronomical targets for some of their games, and they can sell tens of millions and they still be like, oh, that thing's a failure. They've done it before with Tomb Raider and stuff. It's kind of crazy how they think about sales, but maybe they've kind of gotten back down to earth. So they're saying, okay, 3 million in a week, that's pretty good, considering that, whenever Final Fantasy 15 came out and that sold 5 million in one day, that was also released on multiple consoles. That was released on the Xbox, that was also released on the PS4, and the install base for both of those are much, much larger than the PS5. It says here, with 38 million PS5 consoles shipped globally, sales of Final Fantasy XVI surpassed 3 million worldwide several days after its release. So taking that in consideration, that is extremely strong, and we will continue to carry out a wide range of initiatives to encourage even more people to play the game. So that to me is saying, yeah, we are going to be doing that DLC that we talked about last week, and yes, we are going to be porting it over to the PC, which they confirmed last week as well. So that's fine, getting more people to play the game and getting more people back into the game and expanding upon the lore in the game world, whatever, that's perfectly fine. I just wish that they were kind of more upfront about that from the get-go, but we'll see. But then it goes on to say down here that this researcher basically looked at it all and said that Final Fantasy XVI was the 6th biggest title by monthly active users globally in June, with 13% of everybody who owns a PS5 playing it. For 3 days following the launch, Final Fantasy XVI was the second highest title by daily active users globally, falling just short of FIFA 23, but surpassing Fortnite and Call of Duty. By the end of the month, it dropped to 4th place, but it seems to have stabilized, maintaining a lead ahead of big live service titles such as Diablo, NBA, and GTA 5 as well. So that's pretty cool right there. Then it says right here, when PS5 active installed base is less than 40 million globally, sales of 3 million are certainly not poor. So they're basically saying, yeah, this has done well. So that's good, because we've talked about the state of RPGs on this channel, and everybody's like, oh, the RPGs are dead, JRPGs are dead, they're a dying genre, blah 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 blah, but they're really not. If you look at the data, if you look at the sales data, they're not. They're actually doing very, very, very well. However, where it's not doing well is Japan. It is not surprising that it's not sold incredibly well in Japan, given the new direction that the game has taken. It has more serious, darker themes than previous installments, and an older cast of characters. Gamers in Japan broadly favor younger characters, but Final Fantasy XVI seems much more targeted to Western audience, as it lacks the traditional JRPG style. It seems like the game is straddling the core Final Fantasy fanbase and the wider action RPG audience, and it has moved away from its original style and structure, not so far that it loses most fans of its franchise, but far enough that it fully engages more mainstream players. So this to me is really where I am worried. If Final Fantasy XVI is a success, and they specifically went and they targeted Western audiences with this, which we know that they did. They recorded the dialogue in English first, for God's sakes, and then they went back into Japanese. They purposely made it a darker, grittier game. They purposely made the protagonist older. They did all these things to kind of court the Western audience, and they don't seem to care that sales in Japan are down. Japan is like an afterthought for them. So this to me is incredibly worrisome for the future of the series. Is the future of the series going to be all Final Fantasy 16 clones forever from now on? Is that what we're going to be getting? Is that it? Because if that's it, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not exactly the biggest fan of that. Like, 16 was cool as like a one-off different thing, but did it really scratch that Final Fantasy itch that I have for like a world map, for multiple party members, for equipment that actually freaking matters? Like, did it scratch that itch? No, it really didn't. Like, I would open up a treasure chest and I'd be like, oh, big whoop, I don't really care about this new accessory because I've, a billion of these accessories and I only use the same 6 attacks, so why do I need this countdown cool-off thing? Or why do I need this, extra percentage damage thing? Or this piece of equipment that does worse than what I already have equipped? Or some bullshit crafting crap that I already have, 1,000 pieces of? Like, getting treasure was just meaningless in the game, and it really just kind of dampened the whole exploration. And then not having party members and stuff, like, that sucked. Not being able to equip Jill or Torgal or anybody else that came along with you. If it was more like Secret of Mana styled, and you could actually control them, or you could equip them with stuff, or the treasures that you found helped out them too, then yeah, that would change things, but they didn't. So is this going to be the future? Are they just going to say, oh, Japan's an afterthought, screw the Japanese population, I don't really care if it sells well there, as long as it sells in the West. So we need to do, all Western focus all the time, and it needs to be all single player, all action. That's scary. That's really freaking scary, because this is Square Enix that we're talking about here, and if Final Fantasy goes that route, what's next? Is Kingdom Hearts going to go that route? What about Dragon Quest? What about Bravely? What about Octopath? Like, this is a slippery slope here, and it's scary, because Square Enix is a company, and companies, they have one thing on their mind, and that's money. I mean, you can't blame them. They're in the business of making money. They're a company. That's what they do. But this just, good news on one front that, yeah, JRPGs aren't going anywhere, but bad news on another front that the JRPGs that I grew up with, that I loved, they're going somewhere. That's unfortunate. Let me know what y'all think about this. Let me know if maybe I'm overblowing this in my mind, but this is where I'm going with this, and it's scary to me. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments, and have a good day.